Yo, yo, yo. This is your girl Isis Wisdom on Isis Wisdom Live. How y'all doing today? Y'all doing good?
Blessings, blessings.
I have a very special guest tonight. His name is Yaki Awakened, Master Healer, Herbalist Extraordinaire.
Yes, yes, yes.
And brother, I've been watching you for quite some time, probably for like the last 2 years. I got
Hmm.
turned on to you about 2 years ago. My son was the one who turned me on to you.
All praises.
And yeah, he's been getting at me about you for a minute.
Hmm.
And so upon my research on you and my studying of you, you do know you. I'm gonna say this. You do know your stuff. I'm gonna say that to you right now. I can see that you know your stuff. And the thing I like about you is that you speak about it from a scientific perspective,
Hmm.
which is really nice. One of the things I also want to say to my audience is that I had a chance to speak to Brother Yaki. We're not only going to talk about this from a scientific perspective, but we're also going to talk about it from a spiritual perspective as well.
Yes, we most definitely can get into the metaphysics too. Let's do it.
Yes. Okay. Now, Yaki, for a person who is new to this or may have heard about this, right? About detoxing, about how to eat to live. Let's start with how to eat to live.
Okay, so before we even get into it, I want to officially introduce myself. That way, I don't think
Okay.
that I'm just sitting
All
here
right.
coming up with things. Like we actually been have the clinical trials to speak about what we speaking about. Thousands and thousands of hours. I have two clinics, actual functioning clinics in St. Louis, Missouri, where you can come and you can work on your ailments or your so-called diseases. I have certifications in biochemistry and master herbalist. I don't really like to speak about it a lot. I just realize when it comes to our people, they want to know your so-called credentials before you speak on certain topics in particular subjects. So, we have so many healing testimonies, documented diagnostic sheets proving that people were diagnosed with so-called disease. And the reason why I'm saying so-called, I explain, when we in an interview, to where they go back to the doctor after they go through our geogenetic herbal therapy and treatments, where they get paperwork again and they don't have the ailments that they came in with. So, we've been doing this for more than 10 years. I'm very studied in it. I got a lot of physical clinical trials in this. And like you said, we know what we talking about. This is not no guessing. I'm not on here, coming up with things on the fly. I know what I'm talking about. And I'm humble enough. If I don't know, I will say I don't know. So that's what it is.
Okay. Now, for those who don't know properly how to eat to live, first explain to the people what that actually means, how to eat to live.
Okay, so eating is a form of consumption. Everything in life, if it's a bio living entity, meaning that it breathes, it inhales and it exhales, or it have living signals within it, like a heartbeat or the lungs, a respiratory system, something that's just living. If it's a living organism, whether it's a macroorganism or a microorganism, it goes through two things. I call it the pendulum, and that is consumption and elimination. The consumption part is actually what we call eating, and this consumption it can be more than just physical things or putting physical macro and micronutrients in your mouth. It can be things that you allow into your cipher. A conversation right now, we're eating. A new ideas is eating. That's why they have things called food for thought. But to stick to a physical aspect of it, when you put things in your mouth and you chew them up, these things break down into micro phytochemicals or micro and phytonutrients. This then feeds the blood, and the blood feeds the cells of the body. This is what you call eating. So eating to live would be eating something that assimilates with the cells of your body, eating something that agrees with the cells of your body, and something that's going to give you more vitality. A lot of people look at sickness like it's a disease, but y'all going to learn that I don't believe in dis-ease at all. Well, at least from the aspect of the allopathic community and what they call disease. I believe all disease is when the energy inside of your body being produced by your cells is not flowing properly because of certain blockages. And certain blockages come from the food, come from your environment, come from conversations, relationships, come from your own, what they will call psychoneural thoughts and things like that. So eating is eating something that is in simulation, that's on the same frequency and hertz to your body, and you will get vitality or power from eating these things. So that's eating to live, because all life is power or vitality. And when you lessen that vitality, or you lessen that light, or you lessen that hertz or that frequency, or what we call electrical magnetic spectrum, that's where you start seeing so-called dis-ease kick in or settle in. So that's what eat to live is.
And also, would you say traumas also play effect in how you eat?
Yeah, so now that goes back to the psychoneural immunological system that I was just talking about, because you do have psychoneural diseases, and we have to understand that cell holds memory just like water, H2O or H3O2 holds memory as well. And we have to realize that our bodies is made of 87% water, our brains is made of 93% water, H3O2. So these hold structured memory. So when you go through traumatic experiences through your life, you tend to lock in memories in the cell. This is scientifically proven that a lot of memory is not locked in the hippocampus or the hypothalamus gland, or even in the cerebrum cortex of the brain. A lot of memory is locked into cells that's throughout your body. There is a study done where they actually did heart transplants and did certain transplants of eternal, not internal, because we are eternal people, of eternal organs. And they noticed when the organs were switched out that the other people took on not only memories of the organ donor, but they took on certain characteristics and certain emotional traits as well. So we have to understand that cells have memory, and when you go through traumatic experiences, these things can get locked deep within the tissues of the body. And that's why it's very, very important that we learn how to do certain breathing exercises. I noticed that a lot of tense and traumatic memories get locked into the hips too. So it's good to do yoga, stretching, especially comedic yoga, making sure you moving your hips right. Certain breathing exercises, sauna, make sure you sweating, because you can get all of these traumatic memories from deep from without of the cell. So yes, memories and traumatic expressions do have an actual physical impression on your body.
Okay, wow. Wow. Okay, so an individual that is starting brand new to this, and
Mhm,
this day people say, I don't know how to go about doing this.
mhm.
What would be your suggestions for the beginners?
Are we talking about somebody that's just sick or eating wrong, or are we talking about somebody that got traumatic experiences?
We're talking about somebody that is sick and or eating wrong,
Mhm.
and then we can get to those who have actual traumatic experiences.
So anybody that's sick and suffering, you have to realize that, we have to realize that what equals health is vitality. And I know that this is a new concept. A lot of people don't understand or understand or overstand what I'm saying, but when you feel sick because you're very, very fatigued, whether we're talking about adrenal fatigue, or you just tired all the time, or you lack motivation, or you lack the will to express yourself. All of these different types of things are signs that you're not in a balance of homeostasis. And all homeostasis is means you're in a balance of mayat when it comes to your health. The first thing you should always check is your food. We have to look at our bodies as avatars. These are bio vehicles, and these vehicles is what our souls or what our spiritual consciousness actually project through. So if my vehicle is not running properly, that means I can't drive it properly. So the same way that you do with your car, if you see anything going on with your cars that's not in homeostasis, you're going to take it to get a tune-up. You're going to take it to get the oil change. If the fuel start running out of your car, you're going to put fuel in it. If you put the wrong fuel in your car, like for instance, if you have an unleaded gas tank and you put diesel fuel in there, your car can't even start up. It's the same thing as you get a Porsche or a Lamborghini and you put unleaded in there, it's going to run horrible because you need the premium. It's the same thing with our bodies, especially when I'm speaking about melanated, America Aboriginal people. We have the most premium vehicles on planet Earth due to not only our eomelanin and pheomelanin, but our neuromelanin. And then we are essentially prokaryotic cells that have prokaryotes. And we have, basically through evolutionary process, we have required eukaryotes. So we are the top of the line species and gods and goddesses here on Earth, which means we need the best fuel for our vehicle possible. The same way that the Lamborghini and the Benz truck and the Bentleys need that premium 93 gas, we actually need premium octane foods. And these are the foods that have the best light code frequencies called biophoton in them. And this food is what yields you your ATP. If you actually look on a food spectrum and you look at meat, they measure them by something called angstroms of energy. Meat only have 3 angstroms of energy in it, 3,000 yielding angstroms of energy. When you look at vegetables only have 9,000 angstroms of energy. But when you start looking into your fruits, the fruits that grows the closest to the sun, because the sun is our true food, and we're going to talk about that, because plants go through something called photosynthesis, and we as human beings go through something called biosynthesis. So we essentially act as the sun act. We are the children of the sun. Your fruits that grows closest to the sun, which is the universal information creator, you're actually yielding 12,000 angstroms of energy. So if anybody looking for energy, because remember, energy and power equals vitality, that's what means healthiness. And when you lower that power, that vitality, that's what makes you sick. That means we need to be grabbing the best fuel and the highest yielding of energy source, that is your fruits. And what's crazy is, Isis, when you actually look at the anatomy of our bodies and you get into our physiology, and you look at our hands, you look at our fingers, you look at our teeth, you look at our intestinal tract, you look at the way we are shaped, we look at how we walk upright. We are the closest thing that was made to eat fruit. If God created fruit to be meat for the people or meat for a species, and you look at every other species and you check their physiology and none of them fits the criteria, like a feline can't walk up to a tree and pick an orange and peel it, or pick an apple, or pick a banana and peel the apple. So that takes him out of the fruit kingdom. You look at certain herbivores like a cow or a horse, or even some giraffes. They can't pick these oranges and peel these oranges. They can't pick these bananas and peel these bananas. But if you look at the primate kingdom, like a gorilla and a monkey, they can. So then what you got to do is go to nature and look at how you assimilate with nature. Not saying that we come from monkeys or none of that. I do not believe in the evolution theory at all. That's why I call it evolution and not evolution. But, they do we're similar to them. So if you look at us and the things that we're supposed to be eating, we're naturally frugivores. I don't think we're herbivores, nor we're omnivores, nor we're carnivores. Because if we was, our physiology would be just like them. So, once you start getting on these fruits and you get on these limited vegetables, you're going to start seeing a change in your health, because once you eat the right food, your body is going to naturally detoxify itself. Our body's supposed to naturally detoxify itself every 130 minutes. If you look at these chemicals called glutathione that's in the body, it's supposed to kick on every 130 minutes. And what glutathione is, it's a detoxification marker inside of the body. You have something called the NRF2 pathway, which is a pathway of elimination that opens up your cells for something called the mitochondria inside of your cells can actually flush itself out. This happens every 2 hours in the body. So the body is always detoxifying itself. What's happening is we're eating the wrong foods, or we're in the wrong environment. They're burning fossil fuel. We're putting on the wrong clothes that's lowering our hertz. We're entertaining the wrong relationships. And all of these things have a physical bad impression on the body that blocks up energy, because we're not able to eliminate. That's the reason why detoxification is so important. There is no other way to truly heal anything if you don't detox, because we have to open up the meridian pathways, and we have to open up that NRF2 pathway to start getting all of these built up toxemias out of the body and out of the cells.
Now, for someone who's new and that starts getting on those fruit diets, but they're having a hard time, what do you suggest to an individual?
So I say take it slow, take it slow. Everybody is not, meant to eat this fruit diet yet, because, food is consciousness. So you have to match the consciousness to be able to even vibrate towards that electromagnetic spectrum to have that same coherence and resonance with the food. Food and body is a relationship. So if you're in a bad relationship, of course you're gonna be in a bad food relationship. If you don't love yourself, then of course you ain't gonna love the foods that love you correctly. So you have to really start loving yourself correctly. And self-love take correction. It takes spiritual cleansing. It takes quantum cleanses. It takes physical cleansing. It takes sweating. It takes a lot of steps. So the first step I would say is, since we are addicted to these foods by the big food industry, because there are literally scientists in these laboratories that's messing and fucking with the salt, potassium, and fat and protein ratio of our foods to trick, to turn on certain psychological excitements to our food. For instance, a potato chip is made to turn on dopamine. Dopamine is actually where you get your high from. So, we start eating these potato chips and it turns on our high. We start creating dopamine from them. This is an automatic addiction. Then not only that, they're not putting any phytonutrients inside of the potato chip. So you're eating these things and you're not getting full. This is going to cut on your actual receptor, your opioid receptors, and make you more hungry. So we have to understand that the food industry is a drug industry. So just like if you're addicted to any drug, you have to detox. The first thing you have to do is stop taking the drugs. So stop eating the foods that you're being addicted to. The best way is to create a plan. And this plan means if you're eating these addictive foods every single day of your life, start off week by week. For this first week, this first day, let's say on a moon day or what they call Monday, I'm not going to eat potato chips. I'm not going to eat the hamburger. I'm going to eat it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday, but I'm not going to eat it moon day. Once you get that 24 hours down, that's going to build up your placebo, or that's going to build up your psychology. So now you see that you have the strength to do 24 hours. And we, especially melanated people, once we see that we can overcome something, we want to do it again, because the melanin in us is so nurturing and so absorbing. We have addictive personalities. Now you can start adding on Wednesday. Don't do it back to back. Let's shoot for Wednesday. So now we got Moon Day and we got Wednesday. Wednesday, you're going to do the same thing. And what you do is, once you get up to 3 days in the week, then go the whole week. Once you get that whole week, then now, okay, I'm not going to eat no potato chips or hamburgers for 3 months. You can still eat all the other stuff. So what you have to do is you have to slow roll into your healing, just the way we develop. We develop slow as a people. Think about how the evolution process go from when we become aquatic in the womb. It takes a whole entire 9 months for the actual embryo to become an infant, and then you push that baby out. It's the same way with all walks and everything in life. Even manifestation takes a while. If I throw a piece of paper up in the air and say hit the ground, you got to worry about different wind factors, the pressure in the room, the bionic pressure, the weight of the paper. So it's going to come to the ground, but the command is not going to be instant. That's the same thing with anything in life. So people think that, once you get hip to this healing movement and you start hearing about herbs and healing modalities, that you just supposed to get healed overnight. It don't work like that. You spent your whole entire life eating wrong. These eating traditions was passed down through you. Usually if your pops and your mama was arguing, if they had a bad relationship, that same relationship is going, epigenetic, transgenerational epigenetic inheritance is real. So all of these biomarkers are being passed down to you, unless you were a generational curse breaker. So if it took you 20 to 30 to 40 years to be unhealthy, it's going to take a lot of years to actually get healthy. And we don't never take that into consideration. We think that as soon as we hear anything about health and our consciousness change, that our body's supposed to change automatically. No, the body have to catch up to the consciousness. And that's going to get into the next thing, where what was created first? Did the body create the mind, or did the mind create the body? Of course, the mind created the body. So, once you change your mind, it's going to take a minute before your cells be able to catch up with it.
I think what you brought us some interesting points about how long it's going to take for people to heal. And I'm really glad that you brought that to the people's attention, because there's people that I know right now that feel as though that just because they've been on certain diets, maybe for a year or two, that they should already be healed, but yet they're still dealing with issues in their body. It takes time. And I'm glad that you took the time out to explain that. You even gave me some insight on that. So I really appreciate you for that.
Look, I've been cleansing for the last 10 years. I used to gangbang, I used to snort cocaine, I used to smoke a lot of weed, a lot of cigarettes, and I used to drink fifths of Hennessy and Remy Martin every single day. I healed myself of heart disease. I had a heart attack when I was 21. I had scar tissue on my heart. I had diabetes. My kidneys was failing, and I had black toenail fungus and fingernail fungus, meaning my fingernails was literally black, the color black. I healed all of that, and I'm still suffering from certain things. There's certain times where I get up in the morning and I know for a fact that there's still certain types of things deeply suppressed within my tissues that I need to get out. And this is coming from a person that do herbs regularly, that eats a great, impeccable livid. My diet is 80% raw, 20% cooked. And out of the 80% raw, 20% cooked, all of it is alkaline, and I'm literally eating nothing but fruits and vegetables that's considered fruits. You see what I'm saying? We do play around with creation and bullshit a little bit, on occasions every now and then to celebrate or something like that. But, overall, my diet isn't impeccable, and I still see metals and things coming out of me till this very day. I think that in order for us as a people to truly, truly heal and be 100% like the creator, willed it to be, I think it's going to take a few generations of us doing what we doing right now. So this is a
Wow.
generational thing. You know, healing is a lifestyle. It is not a program. Now, getting rid
Yes.
of what you will call irreversible diseases, or getting rid of herpes, sickle cell, anemia, leukemia, and stuff like that. This is easy. This can take up to 3 months to 6 months, even HIV, 9 months. It took a year and 2 months for somebody else that we was head on a program, but we got the job done. But we talking about the signature. So what we have to understand is everything starts off in this isoluted construct, and these are a place in the isoluted realm that's just full of ideas. And this is an invisible realm that's on a different dimension of density, where all things and possibilities exist. You have to meet that frequency in order to be able to manifest that. That takes a while to trickle down, and we're talking about a signature in a field called the biofield that we are impression in our DNA. So even if I get rid of and I cleanse the DNA, I still have to cleanse that signature that I can't even see with the actual natural eye. And that's what's going on. And it usually take a few generations to get rid of that signature. That's the reason why you can heal from herpes and go test negative, but then you eat a potato chip and then you have a full-on outbreak. And people not wondering why, like, dang, well, I tested negative, Yaki, what's going on? We still got to do deeper cleansing. You know what I'm saying? Spiritually, mentally, and physically. So I honestly think the best way to truly heal is tap into spirituality. That's going to be the best way. The herbs and everything else complements spirituality. It complements the quantum physical realm. Seriously. I mean, and that's true.
I'm glad you broke that down. I'm glad you broke that, because that's what I do. I do quantum healing. That's in.
You said
And
you do what?
I specialize in quantum healing.
Quantum healing.
So,
I like the sound. I like that sound. That sound though. Quantum healing. I like that.
yeah. So there are programs that have came to me. Some of the programs have come to me through the Orisha, and I got to just put this out here first. Number one, I'm a channeler. So let me just start there. So I have the ability to speak to the ancestors. I have the ability to speak to the Orisha. I have the ability to communicate with planets, because most people know that planets are actually aspects.
Most
And I have
definitely
the ability
aspects.
to see, people don't know that. You know what I'm saying? They don't know that a whole galaxy is an aspect.
Facts. And like the 12 planets or the 12 celestial systems or the 12 minds or aspects of minds of man. And you can actually bring or trickle that down, as above, so below, as within, so without. When you go deep
Yes.
into the molecular structure of a cell, you see planets, you see systems, you see, different communities of people. You see different gut microbiota bacteria that's different from other ones. They fight sometimes. Sometimes they civilize themselves. Sometimes they mutate and they change their mind. This is what you call sickness. So even when you dive deep into the so-called human body, there is no reason going outside of the body. The body is the planetary systems. The body is
Boom.
the universe. The body is all of that. So when you truly start seeking within, and you get into these laboratories, like I'm in these laboratories, and we using these electronic microscopes, and we using thermal microscopes, and you start putting these cells on petri dishes, freezing them, staining them over, and looking at the blood, you be like, this shit is crazy, because you can actually see planets inside of the cells. For instance, if you look at the nucleus of the cell, the nucleus is what holds the DNA. DNA stands for deoxyribose nucleic acid. A lot of melanated people call it DEA, deoxyetheric acid. But if you look at it, it's actually the genetic blueprint for the body or for the cells to replicate themselves again. So when you look at the sun in the sky, it does the same thing. It feeds you hertz and it feeds you information, but the nucleus feeds the actual cells information too, until it to replicate itself again. So, the nucleus, from my studies and just really looking at clinical trials, is called the new sun. So the actual nucleus of the cell is the sun of a cell. Then you have something called the vasculo, or what they call the visco. And the visco actually holds the water, or pulls the water into the cells, and it keeps the water and the potassium level within inside the cell. Well, when you look at the moon in the sky, it governs the tides of the actual ocean. Not only do it govern the tides of Oshun and governs the tides of Yemaya, on the ocean, but it does the same. The vacuole do the same thing from the cells, and it actually governs the ministry of women. So you see a full moon, you see women start tripping, they get on a power trips, or you see when the moon is dissipating and going back to a new moon, they start calming down. It actually governs their period and everything else. But if you look inside the cell, the vacuole do the same exact thing to the cell. So we got the vacuole, which is the moon of the cell. You got the nucleus, which is the sun of the cell. Let's not start talking about the other planetary systems that they call exosomes inside of the cell. So everything that we've been talking about spiritually, and everything, and been talking about spiritually or allopathically, I actually can go inside of the cells and show people the same thing, showing you that this stuff is real on every aspect or every level of playing field.
I appreciate that, Yaki, for you breaking that down from a scientific perspective. And now you guys know why I said you get your answers from within. You go within to get all your answers. And if you want to go to the cosmos, go into meditation and go within.
That is the cosmos. You have something called the Akashic Records. And what the Akashic Records is, it is a unlimited resource of libraries and information. Every language that have ever been spoken, because, a lot of people ask, well, who spoke the first language? Language actually comes from the DNA. And I know it sounds crazy, but the first man and woman who spoke, they spoke from their DNA, because that's where all of these different chronological letters and frequencies and codes are at. You express yourself from your DNA. That's what you express yourself from. Can you still hear me? I know my camera just went out.
Yeah, I can still hear you. But I was going to say your camera went out.
You express yourself from your actual DNA. And the crazy thing is, they say we only use not even 4% of our deoxyribose nucleic acid and these histones, and they call the rest of it junk DNA. You can tap into that junk DNA just by reaching it through breath work, through meditation, through spiritual work, and through eating the correct livid, or what people will call a healthy diet.
Yes. So these two things go hand in hand.
Yes, they do. I'm gonna let you talk. Give me like 1 minute. Let me fix this camera real fast.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Brother Yaki's getting his camera together. So I just want to point out to you guys, I think that with Yaki breaking this down from a scientific perspective, I hope it gives you guys a little bit more clarity about what it is that I do. I just love the way he breaks that down. He ties both things in for it to make sense. It's beginning to make me wonder, and Yaki, I just got to, ask you this one question. I'm beginning to start asking questions like, are we inverted? Are we inverted? That's something I'm going to come back to you on, but I want to know, are we inverted? I'm starting to look at this from a whole different perspective, bro. Because
give me 1 second, hold on.
Okay. You understand? Cobb salad? Yeah, it's okay to eat organic foods. That's naturally grown foods from the earth. What is in the macro you find in the micro? That is correct.
So you said, are we inverted? That's a good question.
You know what? I have to listen. It's been hitting me a little different. I've been getting these hits, fam, and these downloads is really starting to make me question a lot of different things, because we already live in an inverted reality as it is.
Facts.
And so I'm like, well, damn, are we also inverted ourselves?
Yes, we are. Even when you look at the electrical magnetic grid of the body, and how it goes into itself, it constantly collapses into itself. That's the same thing with the cell. The cell and the electrical magnetic frequency of electrons and protons and neutrons, they constantly collapse within itself. It's like a never-ending black hole or whirlpool. So if you look at it from the macro, from the micro, from the spiritual and the physical, it's all the same thing. We are literally just reflections of our higher selves, whether it be in rock form, whether it be in animal form, whether it be in aquatic form, whether it be in ancestral form, or microbacteria, what they call microorganism form. Everything is inverted. It's crazy, man. When you start getting into like the Fibonacci sequence, sacred geometry, all of these things are matching the body. Even when you start studying ancient religion, a lot of those people were using body parts to worship God. I'm not saying they was worshiping the body part, but they was using the body part to worship God. That's why
that is correct.
The eye of Horus, talking about the pineal gland. You know, you got the god Patu, talking about the pituitary gland. You got the Aries, which is really talking about the hippocampus, which is the bull horns. I mean, a lot of our body parts, even the Greeks took our bodies, and this is where you get the whole entire medical system from. Like you got the Achilles heel, you know, you got the arteries, which come from Eteris. That's where arteries come from. That's called the god of air. Like everything about our body part actually matches a Greek god. And then when you go deeper into where the Greeks learned it from, they learned it from the Africans. So, you know, a lot of these things that we think we know about actually goes back to us. And that shows you how very, very special, peculiar, and important that we are as a people.
Yeah. Now, for those who are operating in the trauma, because I'm glad you broke that down. You really broke some stuff down. Damn. I'm taking some notes, some mental notes. I'm gonna go back and watch the video and write down some notes. First of all, let me ask you this: do you actually create plans for people whenever they seek you out?
Yeah. So, you know, I don't believe in the concept of disease per se. That's why I'm writing a book. I got a book coming out, should be towards September or something like that, but it's called Healing the Illusion We Call Disease. It's going to be one of the most powerful books ever to hit this planet, I'm telling you. But all disease is the same. It's just the blocking of energy. So, you know, you do have different herbs that target specific organs and specific frequencies of the body to bring on that purgatory factor. So we will, you know, change our herbs up, but usually the herbs, the basis or the foundations of the herbs are the same, and the actual livid, or what they call the diet, is the same. If you constantly got to switch up a diet for a person, or you switching up every herbs for a person, these are people that are called fake healers, because, you know, all disease is the same, and that's the lack of oxygen of the cells that should be actually treated the same way. Now we do have to throw in something different. Say if you got a liver issue with your, so I'm automatically going to go after the kidneys, the adrenals, the gut, and the nervous system. That's the basics to all healing. The kidneys and adrenals is actually turns on your filtration system. The actual gut is where 95% of what they call the immune system. I don't believe in the immune system. Every time I check the immune system, it's called the lymphatic system. So that's where your lymphatic system is at. And then the nervous system is actually what keeps your spirit body host into this vehicle that we call the avatar. So these are the four things that I always go after. Now, I'm gonna go after those foundations, but if you have something else and I need to reach another eternal organ, I know they like to call it internal organ, but I'm gonna call it eternal because we are eternal people, then I might have to choose another different frequency, or what they call herbs, or from the botany family, to give you, to, you know, just speed up their healing or their detoxification process. So most of our packages are the same. I really don't do custom packages. There is certain types of ailments, or when the energy is dissipated from the body enough, where I have to change up a few things just to psych the body. But usually our packages is the same. And what happens is the packages just replicate themselves and get bigger and bigger. So you're going to be taking the same package. It's just how long do you need it, because of the amount of energy that you are lacking from flowing properly within inside of your body. So if you come to me and say you have HIV, you finna have to start off automatically doing a 3 to 4 month protocol. If you come to me with herpes, you're gonna have to automatically start off doing a 10-week to 2-month protocol. But if you come to me and you tell me you got something like a cataract or something like that, you know, you can get my week 1 and 2 with my eye bright tincture, and we can get rid of that within a couple of weeks. So it all depends on how congested the cells are, and not only how congested the cells are, but how deprived the cells is of oxygen.
Okay. And what about those who have digestive issues and issues with their thyroid?
So digestive issues, when you get into digestive issues, any herb is automatically a digestive herbs. We have to realize that herbs are not really healers. Your body is capable of healing itself. What the herbs do is the herbs have a poison factor in it, because, you know, plants, just like animals do not like to be eaten, plants do not like to be eaten either. So what plants did over time, they actually created something called anti-nutrient factors in them. Like one is called a lectin. A lectin is an anti-chemical or an anti-nutrient factor, or they call natural pesticides and insecticides, because you see pests and insects trying to eat the plant while it's in its growing stage. So what the plants do is they create their own defense mechanism. Usually these defense mechanisms kill pests like rats and rodents, but we are more bigger in body mass. So instead of it killing us, it still acts as a purgatory poison factor. So it turns on detoxification mechanisms within inside of our cells that make the body starts to purge itself due to the poison of the plants. So the same way, or the same analogy, if you go to out at the club at night and you drink a few shots, or you drink a few rounds of liquor, you're gonna feel good off of it. It's gonna, because it's a stimulant. It's gonna give you a stimulant. Same thing if you take a herb, you're gonna feel good. It's gonna stimulate you, but then the blowback coming because it's a poison. So the next morning when you're gonna have a hangover, you're gonna be throwing up from one end and you're gonna be pooping out the other end. That's the same way that herbs do. You feel good as soon as you take them, but when you wake up in the morning, give it 28 to 48 hours, you're gonna be having diarrhea at the butt and the mouth. Why is that? That's because it's reacting to the anti-chemicals, or what you would call the natural defense mechanism of the plant that's inside of the cellulose of the plant. Is now purging the body because it's intentionally a poison. And that's why I say that we're not herbivores, but naturally we are frugivores, because fruits is the only thing that doesn't do that to the body unless you have an allergen, or what they call an antigen, because you are too super acidic. Now, as far as the thyroid, when you get into the thyroid is a whole complex anatomy within its own. There can be many issues that go on with the thyroid. The thyroid is the gear shift of the body. The thyroid is in control of all of the different cells. It actually helps you deal with your metabolism, or your basal temperature. So your temperature is based off the thyroid, the basal temperature. It's supposed to be at a 96.7 or a 96.8. That's your temperature. That's all regulated by the thyroid gland. Also, the thyroid gland is in control of your heartbeat. The heart is not a pump. The lungs is a pump. That's another lie that they teach us in school. The heart is a valve. This valve have a rhythmatic frequency to it because it holds a lot of melanin in it. And melanin, or what you call carbon, or what you call sugar, monosaccharides, is all the same thing. This holds a frequency. So that's why you see that beating or that pulsation, but that's actually coming from the lungs. So the lungs actually pumps blood through the body. The heart is the valve that actually put the cardiac output into the body. So, when you really start, it's crazy.
That's
so
deep.
Yeah. So, I mean, so the thyroid is in control of that. It's in control of your heartbeat. The thyroid is in control of your awakening and sleep patterns called the circadian rhythm. The thyroid is like the biological clock of the body, and it produces something called T cells, not T cells, but T4 cells and T3 cells. And this stands for triiodothyronine and then tetraiodothyronine, or what they call thyroxine. And all this stuff does is for the metabolic process of the body. It helps the mitochondria Eve DNA inside the body, which is a feminine gene inside the body, break down the food for you can yield energy, for you can have vitality. Showing you what sickness is. It's when that mitochondria Eve, or that big mama that's inside of your cells, is not burning fuel properly because it don't have any oxygen. And you have 150 trillion cells in your body. Each of these cells have to eat, shit, poop, and pee just like you do. So if you're feeding the body and then the blood is feeding the phytonutrients to the cells, and your cells are eating these things and they not pooping, then that means they're constipated. And when you constipate a cell, it brings on an acid blowback. Once you see acids in the body, the mucosa membrane is stimulated. When the mucosa membrane is stimulated, it suffocates the cells because they have something called calcium monotriphosphate in it to buffer out or neutralize the acids. When you mix mucus, uric acid, carbonic acid together, lactic acid together, plus you got something called calcium, which stands for calcification, then you're going to crystallize the cells. So now can't no more aerobic oxygen make it into the cell. And this literally causes the cells to ferment. And when the cells ferment, it starts to rot. And this is where cellular death, or what they call apoptosis, come in at. So it's all about the oxygen. If we can bring the most spirit, or the prana, or the Ruach HaKodesh, or whatever we want to call it, to the cells of the body, then we can keep our vitality and our health the highest. And the foods that have the most oxygen in it is your fruits, high yielding fruits with high water content called H3O2. Other than that, you're going to have to rely on the breath. But you can't really rely on the breath because they are damaging the atmosphere with all the fossil fuels they burn in, all the carbon dioxide from the cars, all this high technology they use, and it's literally killing Mother Earth. Well, you can't kill Mother Earth, so let me not say that. Is literally degrading her, and now she's starting to purge herself. She's going on a detox, and all of the weaklings, whether you melanin or not, If you are not expanding your consciousness, and if you have not cleansed your karmatic karma, you gonna die down just like the cells die in your body and be pushed out through your kidneys and your liver.
Bam. And thank you for that. Oh my goodness. I've been saying about how, you know, mama's she's clearing out a lot of things because a lot of people aren't matching the frequencies.
And she go through the cycle every 12,000 years. She go through the cycle every 12,000 years.
Jeez. Okay, so how long? Okay, I'm gonna tell you my business, right? I have a thyroid issue. Okay, I'm gonna tell you my business, and I started suffering from it for the last 2 years. You know, I started picking up weight, and that was an observation, and it fluctuates. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. So I need to get control of that. So in someone like my case, what would you suggest?
Are you on Synthroid?
Thyroid.
No, or you on Synthroid, a medication for the thyroid?
No, I'm not on any kind of medication whatsoever.
You don't have a goiter or nothing like that going on?
No.
So your weight go up and down. So I think that you're hyperthyroidism. So what I would do before anything to make sure that I am a good healer, I would tell you to go get the thyroid tested. That way we know exactly what it is. So you can do a few things at home, like you can test your basal temperature under each of your armpits, and then you can send me your actual temperature. It's supposed to be at a 96.7 under each. If it's up, then it means you're hypothyroidism. If it's down, then it means you're hypo. But there's other things you can do too. You can actually go to your doctor and you can check your free T4 hormone, your free T3 hormone. You can check your TSH, which stands for thyroid stimulating hormone. You can check your TRH, which stands for tropin releasing hormone, and you can check your TSB. And once you check all these things in the thyroids, and I'll get it back and I look at the blood work, I can tell which one it is, and then based off of that, I can tell you, oh, you need more iodine to create into aldehyde, or you producing too much iodine and you need to lessen the aldehyde. You know, you need to get on CMOS, and you need to get on bladderwrack, or you need to stay away from the Fucus and the crispy crumpets. So it all depends on what the blood work come back. If you got somebody and you just said what you just said, and they just tell you they know how to heal it, and they don't even know what it is or have the indication, then that's a fake healer. So I need to get some blood work on you. But the good thing about me, we partner with many laboratories. So after we get off this conversation, what I can do is I can order you some blood work, and let's get your thyroid checked out. And then once we get the blood work back and we see what it is, let's get it healed on up. Cool.
I thank you for that. I actually tried to get a test done by my doctor here in Mexico, because I live in Mexico. And it was
in Mexico.
I
don't know if we can reach. I don't know if we ain't got no laboratories in Mexico.
We got a mailing system. It's all good.
Okay.
But no, when I was communicating with my doctor, he came to visit me, and he went to draw blood, fam, and not a single drop of blood would come out. I watched him put the needle inside the vein, and not a single. He said, "I've never experienced anything like this before." And then I heard the mother saying, "Hell no. Find somebody else to work with. Hell no."
You said he ain't even reaching the veins properly.
Listen, I'm telling you, I watched this dude literally go to 2 arms. I watched him do this, and I'm just like, nothing's coming out? Nothing?
That's crazy.
So, but this is when I started learning about the mothers inside the body. A lot of people don't know that you actually have mothers inside the body, and these are living mothers that are inside the body, and they also communicate. This is the reason why I tell the brothers, you know, you got to be careful about how you treat your women.
Yeah.
Because if they're hot with you, if they're upset with you, all kinds of bad luck and crazy things are going to start happening to you. You don't even know why this is happening. It's because what lives within her.
Facts.
So, all right. So now let's talk about the trauma. Let's talk about because you was really breaking some stuff down. I'm going to focus specifically on that, because I told you when I spoke to you earlier about the quantum trauma cleanse that I'm working on. And that is a very powerful process. This is where we go in and we assess where the traumas are located within the body.
Okay.
And once we assess where the traumas are located within the body, then we give you a breakdown about what particular types of trauma that is that's actually sitting in those parts of the body. I have a 6-week intensive shadow work program for each trauma. So this is like a deep inner healing. This is what I call basically a soul healing. I've been in this program. I created this program, and I'm doing the program myself, and I've gotten some tremendous results. But it is a work in progress, and it's definitely not for the play. And so the detox thing is very serious for me. So I'm saying I know that the detox is very, very important, but I want to hear from you when it comes to the trauma. how important is it that you detox the body?
So
When you had the traumas.
so you can't detox the body spiritually without doing it physically.
Yes.
We have to realize that mind, body, and spirit is interwoven. That's the reason why you literally can't, access the third dimensional realm of density without the vehicle. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing we have to understand, that all of these things, I'm not saying they're equal, they all play their role that's necessary in life for us to be able to experience this life in the third dimension. So you have to cleanse all of them to have true healing. That goes back to that biomarker or that signature I said that heals last, and that is literally that soul signature. It seems like what I've been seeing through healing, the spirit heals quick, the body heals quick, but that soul, that impression on that personality, it's a signature there that takes generations to really, really weed out. So, I mean, trauma is everything. Like, you have something called cytoimmunological systems, where you can Google this word, it will pop up, where certain thoughts or certain memories will actually trigger certain types of antigens and allergic reactions through the body. We done seen certain tumors go down just for people, being healed mentally and spiritually, or being taken under hypnosis, where they get hypnotized and you literally feed them placebo and you tell them you were healed. You just give them basic affirmations, and then you check them 2 months later and they tumor sizes have shrunk tremendously. So showing you that, them traumatic experiences sitting inside of the cells, we have to remember that thought, you can actually measure thought. So if you can measure thought, that means thought is a real thing. It's actually a element, and all elements in the body creates a blowback, or what you would call metabolic waste. So if trauma is an experience, and experience is a thought or a memory, and memory hold weight, and it's considered an element, then that means these things are acid forming and they have to get out of the body. So if you never get rid of the traumatic experience, or do your spiritual work, or go through the cleansing rituals to get these things up out of the cells, then it's going to lock and bind up in your cells, and it's going to burn your tissues. This is called living in metabolic acidosis. And these things bring on energy blockages, because what fire do? Fire sucks out oxygen. Remember, oxygen, or the deprived oxygen of the cell, is what I call disease. So, I mean, I think it's very, very important that we work with our past lives, get rid of past life trauma, because a lot of the baggage we do be bringing into our reincarnation phase. So we most definitely need to clean up our past lives. I most definitely think we need to play with our inner child. A lot of healing actually come from playing with your inner child.
Yeah.
A lot of healing come from laughter. A lot of people don't know how laughter actually initiate and activate that NRF2 gene that helps the detoxification phase. So, be around people that makes you laugh. Be around people that increases dopamine in a good way, not dopamine to get you addicted to foods, but dopamine to have you addicted to an actual good, healthy time. All these things help you get rid of that traumatic experience. So, I mean, trauma is crazy, because trauma will harm the body. And then, trauma in a physical sense, or people that get into, car accidents and they still dealing with certain scar tissues. We noticed that a lot of memories get locked in the scar tissue. So, we created all types of salves and butters to help you, get rid of that scar tissue. And we noticed when you start seeing that scar tissue go away, and working with the thyroid, or what you call the parathyroid, because the parathyroid is in control of the connective tissue of the body. And when you heal the thyroid up and you heal the scar tissue up, we noticed that people get rid of that stuff, and they able to forgive people that touched on them that was little, showing you that grudge was locked up within the scar tissue. So we have to quit looking at our bodies like it's just a body. No, your body is spiritual. Your body is the most important thing. Look, you living in it. You live in your body the whole life. Your whole life, you're in this vehicle. That's how important it is. I just think for us to truly know that means we got to understand, and we got to start studying our bodies more. Not only the outside of our bodies, but most definitely our inward parts, because this is a toolbox and a utensil for us to experience reality from. I did a lecture not too long ago, and it was called The Purpose of Man. And what I did was I went into nature and I meditated for 3 days. And what I came up with was the purpose of man is to experience. And that's the reason why we have hands, to hold things, to play with things. It's what childs do when a child is growing. The moment they get into the crawling stage, they get into everything. And what they do, they take something and they taste it, showing that your tongue is to taste things for you can download memories. The eyes is to pull things through images for you can lock in memory. Everything is for you to rememberize. That way, when you transition, you take these memories to your creator, and then the creator can learn from its own creation.
Yes.
And the only way you can do that is by getting rid of the traumatic experience that's blocking you from experiencing.
Boom.
I mean, facts.
Shadow work.
Yeah, that shadow work is crazy. You need shadow work. I think you need shadow work just as well as you need herbs and diet. I think all of that
Yes.
is equal. Like you can't do spiritual work without doing the actual physical diet, and you can't do that without taking the purgatory poisonous herbs to help actually purge the body. These all things come one in one. Just like you have mind, body, spirit, and soul, you have actual shadow work, or what I call spiritual cleansing. You have physical cleansing, or what I call the sauna, the herbs, and all of that. And then you actually have your mental cleansing, or what I would call self-hypnosing, and turning your brain back into that theta state for you can get back into your imagination and start doing your own affirmations and seeing yourself heal. There was another scientific study done, Isis, where they did monks and they did regular humans. It was in New York. Y'all look this up, where the first one they did was working out, where people actually went to the gym and worked out, and then monks actually sat down into a meditation state. They did diaphragmatic deep breaths and they imagined themselves working out. Do you know that the monks had better bodies after 6 months than the people that was going to the gym every day, based
That's
off
the
of their
third time
mind?
I've heard that. That's the
Based
third time I've heard that. That's
based off
crazy
their
to me.
mind, though. So showing you that the mind is what governs and rule the body, and what governs and rule the body is the spirit. So I think we need to be tapping into that first, because it's crazy. You would change somebody's diet, you would heal them of a disease, but then you would let them back out to the wolves because you never changed their mind. And I've been seeing that a lot. And that's why I teach preventive maintenance so much, because that's a mind change. Let me love myself to not eat this candy bar. Let me love myself to put down the meat. Let me love myself enough to not get into this type of toxic relationship. Once you start changing your mind, your body gon' follow. That's why they say if it doesn't mind, it don't matter. Mind over matter. Matter is the body. Mind creates the matter. And
Yeah.
also, so spiritual cleansing, physical cleansing, and mental cleansing should be all done simultaneously.
Okay. And you know what? That's been coming into my consciousness probably within like the last 2 months about the actual physical cleansing. That has been a major like smack in the forehead. It just hit me one day. I said, okay, I'm doing all the other stuff, but the physical part that you're talking about, I'm realizing the relationship to the spirituality and
Yes.
everything else aside with it. I see it because I see how it's playing out in my own life.
Yeah, you locked in your body by your nervous system. So in order to truly be free, you have to be free on all three planes. Because
Yes.
you got people that got the spiritual part down. I got a brother that's been locked up for 15 years. His mind is free, but his body is still encaged. You see what I'm saying? We have to be free and liberated on all different aspects and truly become God. God is free on all aspects. That's the reason why the true God, the omnipresent, omnipotent, doesn't have a body. And in order for it to experience creation, it created a body, and you are that body that it created. It basically fragmented its own consciousness and put it in 7 billion different people's body to experience what it made.
Yes.
So in order for you to have a taste of that, you have to get rid of the trauma. The trauma going to bring up blockages. It's going to put limitations and fear on your subconscious and conscious mind. Once you get rid of that, you got to get rid of the scars, because the scars are a reminder of the trauma. That's why when you truly regenerate the body, I've been shot, stabbed, and everything. You can't even see where I've been shot and stabbed at no more, because my cells regenerated themselves. Now imagine if I have to look at that scar every other day, it's going to be me right back into that time, because we have to understand that all time is, when you really start understanding and studying time, all time is the space or the destination between 2 points, meaning that you are still 3 years old in another timeline. You are still 5 years old in another timeline. You're still 20 years old in another timeline. So when you get brought back to them frequencies and the memories, they can bring on certain prognosis that have actually give you that dis-ease again.
Yes.
Seriously, it's like when you really think about how special our bio-spiritual bodies are, it is crazy. And I just don't think it's enough research on who we are.
You're absolutely correct. There's not enough research.
Yeah.
But I heard the Most High say to me one time that we are the most powerful ET race to ever exist.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
We most definitely extraterrestrial.
Yeah, I was told that. They said, you don't realize how much, like we were building some let me give an example of this. We do crystal grids, right? So we was creating these particular crystal grids, but we didn't realize in the process of us creating these crystal grids, how it was affecting certain parts of the cosmos. And that was brought to our attention. They was like, you need to be careful about those grids that you're creating, because you're causing this, and this to do this in this particular part of the star system. And my jaw's on the floor, like, what? you know, and I'm like, okay, so we won't be doing that anymore,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So
And you got to realize too, all these crystals are within inside of us, like within inside of our brains, we got trillions and trillions of magnetites. You know, your
yes.
whole body is crystallized, and this is where crystallization come from. And that's how
Mhm.
things in our body can be solidified or become calcified because of the crystals inside of our body. So, I mean, we are magnificent when it comes to us as a people. We are amazing, and we don't understand that we are made to be interdimensional travelers. That's the reason for the
Yes.
crystals. That's the reason for the gold and the copper and the zinc that's naturally produced in your body. That's the reason for all of these different molecules that we obtain as human beings, is to be interdimensional travelers. Other than sleeping and being healed by your body releasing certain type of things while you sleep to heal the body, sleep is another tool of that interdimensional traveling.
Do you think it'll take a couple generations before we'll be able to start living like to 1,000 years, 2,000 years? Like what happened to that time, those times when we were living that long?
Yeah, so so if you look at what's going on in history, you have something called telomeres, right? I wish my
Mhm.
camera could work if I can show y'all these things. My cameraman is changing my batteries right now, no, y'all. So forgive me. I need the batteries changed to the actual camera, bro. Yep. So if you look at the DNA, and you look at a chromosome, on top of chromosomes, you have something called a telomere, a telomer. And what these telomeres do is they cap off your actual age. And when these telomeres wear off, that's when you die. So, if you go back 25,000 years ago, we was capped. Another person that actually teach about this, I've been teaching about this for a decade, but I've been hearing recently, brother Billy Carson been speaking about it. Hit that brother on point with the knowledge. Everything he said was true. It seemed like that we was capped off by higher beings. Whoever created
Yes.
our biospiritual vehicles, when they merged themselves with our DNA, because we're nothing but hybrided melanin beings. We're hybrid,
Yes.
whether we want to admit it or not. They capped us off, and that's when we started only living 120 years. But we've been capped again to the environment. So now brothers and sisters only living to be 40 to 60. So
That's crazy.
but you have certain types of lipids you can tap into that actually, age the telomeres on your DNA. Like for instance, fruits like apples, papayas, avocados, the fatty lipids, and you have alkaline foods that actually go to the telomeres and feed it this certain type of phytochemical that keep it from wearing and tearing so properly too fast. So when you keep it from wearing and tearing too fast, you actually live longer and live properly. So that's the telomeres. We most definitely have been capped. We've been capped by the telomeres. I need y'all to look that word up. Telomeres or telomeres, and it's basically a cap that's on the DNA. And when it unravels, it's like a shoestring cap. And when it unravels, your DNA is like the shoestring. It unravels, and when the DNA start unraveling, you start losing minerals, because minerals is what sticks the DNA together or sticks amino acids together. And when you lose the minerals, which is your electrical activity or what they call electrolytes, that's when you lose the signal. The signal is what brings the spirit or the prana through the blood of the body by way of hemoglobin or what they call iron phosphate.
Now you definitely got me getting ready to go inward. I'm definitely going to go inward and check into that and go a little bit deeper into that. I thank you for that information. I'm always trying to bring solutions to the problems, so I
Yeah,
appreciate you for dropping that science.
yeah, most
Yaki,
definitely.
how can people reach you?
You can reach me. My website is www.yahki, YAHKI, awakened, AWAKENED.com. Or you can reach me on Instagram at Yaki Awakened. I actually put my name on the screen, so that's how you spell it. There is a lot of people pretending to be me. I will never do business outside of my website. So it's a lot of people on there. I can give you a reading. I'm y'all. No, it's not. It's Yaki. I got 238,000 followers on Instagram. That's my page, and it's spelled just like this. I will never ask you for money online. I will never ask you to send me money through Cash App. I will never ask you to send me money through PayPal. I only do business through my website. So you can reach me on Facebook at Yaki Hickman, YAHKI space button HICKMAN, and you can reach me on YouTube, where we drop a lot of content. We just did a crazy drop about broccoli, y'all, that blew everybody's mind on YouTube, which is at Yaki Awakened again, which is spelled just like this, which is on my screen, family.
Now talk to me about that broccoli, bro.
So basically, we went in on the broccoli. we basically were just talking about how broccoli opens up certain type of detoxification biomarkers. We went over what a true hybrid was, because we see a lot of people using GMO and hybrid interchange like they're the same thing when they not. So we just dropped the real science on broccoli. Where did broccoli came from? How was it made? All the HeLa constituents from it, you know, because I was a person that grew up to think that broccoli was a hybrid, which it is, but it's a certain type of hybrid. And I thought it was acidic, which is not. So, you know, we expanded the consciousness of the information and proved it with the science and actual government backed up databases and analysis. So if y'all could please go check that out. It was the last live I did on Yaki TV. I mean, on Yaki Awakened on my YouTube, and also on Yaki Hickman on my Facebook. We dropped it on there. So y'all go check that out.
One more question I want to ask, and I'm gonna turn it over to the comments and have the people asking some comments before we get off this live, brother. Can you please break down and drop the science about the chicken? My peoples need to hear this, man. They need to hear this, because I saw that thing you put up on your Instagram, and I was like, that blew my wig all the way back. So could you take the time out to explain to my audience about why?
So the chicken is not a hybrid. The chicken is GMO. The chicken was actually created by splicing genes and introducing certain type of DNA into what you are called a red-winged jungle fowl and a black gray-winged jungle fowl from Africa. That's where you get chickens from. Chickens are not real, and because they were actually created in a laboratory per se, I'm gonna say that the reason why, because they did gene splicing to them. They're acidic to the body. They create a whole lot of uric acid. They also, when you cook them, they turn into heterocyclic amines. Heterocyclic amines is very malignant forming to the cells, meaning it causes cancerous cells. And then the smell from it comes from something called hydroaromatic hydrocarbons. And these hydroaromatic hydrocarbons is bad. It causes throat cancer. Chickens are just bad, and the eggs are bad too. And then plus it's a meat. So they'll tell you that chickens come from the dinosaurs were their ancestors. And that's a complete lie, because when you look at the genealogy of the chicken, especially what the Rothschilds and the DuPonts at the Rothschilds Museum in Jerusalem in New York said about the chicken, they actually give you the history on where they come from. So, you know, chickens are not new. Now, you see things about hens in the Bible and certain other literature, but they're actually talking about gray-winged fowls and red-winged fowls. That's what they was calling hens and chick hens back then. This new chicken that we talking about is totally false, and it's not only a hybrid, but it's GMO, and it's causing a lot of sicknesses, and it's one of the number one cancerous causing artificial meats in the world, y'all. Chicken causes cancer. And if you want to get down into the actual science of it, I mean, all of the political science, all you have to do is go on my YouTube, Yaki Awakened, and look at all of and you can cite this stuff. All you got to do is Google it. And I'm offering $5,000 to anybody to clinically prove me wrong. $5,000. If you can go on there and dispute that with other articles, or you can dispute that with anything that is actually holds up and stands that's got a credible source that's behind it, I will give you some money showing you that I'm willing to bet everything on my bottom dollar that chicken is artificial. Chickens are new. Same thing with the cow. The cow actually comes from a Mexican black bull and a white Brahma bull from West Africa. That's where you get your modern day cow from. You know, and Dr. Sebi been saying this for years. It's just now we have the science to prove this stuff. The vulture, which is your modern day turkey. The turkey comes from the vulture. Look at them. They look just alike. So, you know, we've been eating things and calling it food, but the true food for human beings is a fruit diet, a frugivore diet, you know, and limited vegetables. That's all. And like I said, is we at that point right now? I don't think we are. I think we have a lot of expanding of consciousness and a lot of healing to do. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with looking towards that, though, and to say, okay, now I know I'm a God. I know my diet. I know what my liver is supposed to be. Let me start at least integrating some of that into my weekly, you know, my weekly plans and goals.
Do you have now, is it a thing where a person should do it separate when they're doing a detox? Let's say they're doing a 10-day detox and then they do a detox of the liver. Or do you have it set up to where they do both at the same time?
Oh, no, you simultaneously cleanse. Now, I will say this, though. People that have gallstones, because you know the gallbladder actually is inside of the liver. Here's the matter of fact, here a gallbladder right here. It's this little green part. It's sitting on the pancreas, but the liver sits right over it. So if you got gallbladder stones, or you got calcified lipids inside of the gallbladder, or you got, you know, these big old stones inside of the liver, we say, you know, do a key lime fast or a lemon fast for 2 days, mixed with water and high H2O constituents before you cleanse the liver, because you can stop the liver from functioning properly, which can be unhealthy. But you, other than that, usually we do the cleanse simultaneously. Like I said, you got the 4 foundations that we go after. So we always go after digestion, absorption, utilization, and elimination. So we go after the kidneys, we go after the adrenals, we go after the entire gut, and then we go after the nervous system. And that is your actual digestion, absorption, utilization, and elimination. Because remember, every species that's living in this life have to go through the pendulum swing. You got to go through consumption and elimination. You have to consume energy and use this energy for vitality that gives you life. But when you using life, look, life costs, y'all. We just think that we are living for free. Everything costs. By you taking in a breath, guess what? Carbon dioxide. That costs you. That costs you carbon dioxide. You see that? By you walking, that costs you lactic acid. By you eating certain things, that costs you. We can't just think we just experiencing life for free. There's a thing that called byproducts. If these byproducts stay in your body because your eliminative pathways are not open, because your body is not naturally detoxifying itself, them acids are going to eat the cells, damaging of the cells. What acid does is gnarly in chemistry. Acid burns through concrete. You eating this acid forming, mucus forming diet, and you're never detoxifying, and we wonder why we sick or our cells lack oxygen. That's what fire or inflammation does. It sucks the oxygen from hemoglobin. Now you don't have any oxygen to use in your mitochondria metabolic process. So now the mitochondria Eve DNA, that mitochondria that sits inside of your cells, cannot turn those glucose or that fructose monosaccharides into carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide then turns into water, and the body uses this H3O2 water as fuel. And it uses oxygen to do this whole process. So if you mix in that oxygen, it's impossible for you to yield ATP, and which stands for adenosine triphosphate. So guess what? Your cells are pleomorphic. They shapeshift. Every cell in your body shapeshift. Just like the microbiota come from the granule of the cell, and it's pleomorphic, it shapeshift. It will look like a microorganism, what Candida albicans, that deal with shapeshift to a damn cankerworm. Then it'll shapeshift from the cankerworm to another pleomorphic worm called the hookworm. Then it will shapeshift to that and turn into a tapeworm, all depending on the environment that you put your cells in. So we have to start putting our cells into an environment where they're going to thrive at, y'all. Seriously. Yeah, I mean, it's, man, like, that's what I'm saying. When you study that body, you really study that body, this is your religion. I'm telling you.
I see this is a whole lifestyle for you.
It has to be. And like I said, every now and then I do play around with creation. You know, I will have you cook a chickpea burger or something like that for me. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, you know, we pretty raw. You know, 80% raw, 20% cooked, but the cooked is steamed vegetable. You know, so I'm really on a real high diet. And then I figured out how to keep my weight while doing it. Because when I first cleansed, I was looking like a crackhead. My mama thought I had AIDS. My grandma was asking me was I sick, because you know that initial cleanse when I was getting rid of that trauma and getting rid of all of that baggage. You know, when you lose that trauma and get rid of that baggage, weight comes with it, because visceral fat holds in memories and holds in traumatic experience, just like the hips calcify and locks in that. So once you open up that pathway and you open up them floodgates by hydrating the body and you start getting rid of them memories, you're going to shed the weight. So that's why when people say it's a weight on my shoulder, that shit is literal, like straight up.
All right, brother, I'm going to go ahead and open up the audience. And I have the first question by Lisa Honeycutt. And she wanted me to ask you about mushrooms. What do you think about mushrooms? What's your thoughts about shrooms?
I love mushrooms and I love psychedelic shrooms. I love both of them. Whether we gonna talk about going on a psychedelic trip to talk to our ancestors, or whether we talking about eating mushrooms for food. And it's the reason why I condemn eating meat so much. Don't judge, but I condemn it, because you have a whole mycelium kingdom out there that tastes like any meat you want. Lion's mane tastes just like a steak. Portobello tastes just like a hamburger. Just like a hamburger. You know, when you get into your trumpets, it tastes just like chicken. So, you have this mycelium kingdom or the fungus. And what's crazy is our bodies assimilate more to the mushroom mycelium kingdom than plants. So if we cut open the biochemical molecular structure of man and we cut open the biochemical molecular structure of plants and mushrooms, we will actually assimilate more with the mushrooms than plants, meaning that we're closer to ancestral shrooms or ancestral mycelium than we're closer to ancestral botany. That's and a lot of people don't know that. So I love the mushroom kingdom, family. I love it. I eat mushrooms every day. I take lion's mane for my cognitive mobility, for B12. And then a lot of people say, well, you need your B vitamins. They call it vitamins, where it comes from vital amine or vital minerals. You only can get that from meat. That's a lie. You get your B vitamins from your mushrooms. So I think without the mushrooms, we wouldn't exist. The mushroom kingdom is what came into being. The true first original ancestors will be mushrooms. And that's why when you get on mushrooms and you get higher up and you start meeting the serpent gods, you start meeting the fairies, all these things exist in these different dimensions that's intact inside your neuroscience link. I visit and I seen the ancestral mushroom. They head are shaped just like mushrooms.
Yep.
They gave me a lot of knowledge. Right after I met the mushrooms, they introduced me to Yemaya and Oshun. And I realized that was an actual aspect of my consciousness. So what we do is for man to be able to, bring something down for understanding and overstanding or knowing the ledge or what you call knowledge, they have to put a picture to something or they have to put a label on it. So usually when you're interacting with different your different higher up aspects of your consciousness, you hear names and you see faces or colors. That's why if you see Oshun is an actual vibratory frequency. And when you hear it pulsates like Oshun, Oshun, Oshun. So now, I got a name, Oshun. Then you see a color, a euphoria color match with it, which is yellow. So now you say, I got this beautiful woman named Oshun. It turned on different oxytocins in me and made me sexual. So now Oshun is a sexy goddess, right? She beats and pulsates at Oshun and she wear yellow. So now you have this whole pictogram of this goddess, which is nothing but an aspect of your consciousness. But in order for you to understand or explain the aspect of your consciousness, you had to give it a name, you had to give it a body shape, a gender, and a color.
Bam.
But it's your consciousness.
The energies live within you.
Facts.
Bam. And I seen that mushroom kingdom. I talked to the mushrooms too.
Hey, man.
When I was doing some mushrooms back in November with the shamans fam.
Man.
Woo, child. This mushroom, I forgot what kind of mushroom it was, but it made me go inward. I started traveling through dimensions and stargates inside of my body, man. The mushroom was talking to me and healing me at the same time, was pointing certain things out to me, as far as my healing process was taking place. And I'm going to tell y'all something, like to hear this brother say, I feel so good that you're saying these things because I think that people would think I'm crazy when I talk about things like that. But to hear you saying it,
I met them.
It's crazy. It's like to hear you say it, now people know it's not a joke. These are real things. These are real experiences. This is really happening.
Yeah,
I mean, the mushroom kingdom.
My mama taught me, she said the messages in the movie get the picture. The messages in the movies get the picture. There's a reason why it's called the teller of visions or the television. Yes. When they come up, and what's crazy is you have this new Sonic. My son loves Sonic, and I was watching it with him. And I had just did a shroom trip probably like 3 days before I was watching this with him. But tell me why Sonic, this Negro was talking about, I need to reach the mushroom kingdom. And he started, so y'all go watch Sonic, y'all, with your children. The whole time, Sonic trying to get to the mushroom kingdom to talk to the mushrooms to protect him from the damn Jim Carrey. What he called something where he's trying to kill Sonic. So Sonic, like, I need to make it to the different dimension, to the mushroom kingdom, so I can be protected by the mushrooms. And no bullshit, I'm telling y'all, when I was high and just interdimensional traveling, and I went to that kingdom because I seen the serpents first, then I seen Yemaya and I seen Oshun secondly, and last but not least, we was in Florida at the ocean. You know what I'm saying? I was in Florida at the ocean. When I seen that mushroom kingdom, it blew my mind. I'm like, dang. So it just got me deeper into my shrooms. I got a new product coming out called Coherence. And Coherence is basically all the organic mushrooms that's available that yields a lot of bioavailability of minerals and vital amines to the body. And it's supposed to just keep your consciousness vibrating at a high frequency. So I can't wait till that hit the market, y'all. That'll be out soon. It's called Coherence.
Call me first, fam, so I can get that.
No, I'm going to send it to you for free. I'm gonna send you a whole pack of them. I'm gonna send you probably like 3 months supply. I got you. You got my word. Wow. My word line. I got you. And then I gotta
Okay,
hook you up with some. I gotta hook you up with my brother in Mexico. He a shaman out there. He a priest in Mexico, and he the one who introduced me to the shrooms and ayahuasca and all of these different, you know, higher frequency foods that will actually connect you back to your inner consciousness.
Okay.
And he right there in Mexico.
Okay. Now they say someone said Sugar Truth said ask him about endometriosis foods, ways to help with the pain.
So endometriosis, the way you got, so endometriosis, the endometrium lining of the cervix, how many, so in your endometriosis, my question is this: how many different cysts do you have? And I can tell you how to go about that. Because now we're talking about the endometrium lining of the cervix wall, or a lot of people say the uterine wall.
Well, let's just say she had 3.
Okay, so if she had 3, that means that your body is producing too much estrogen. Estrogen is what you would call a cellular proliferator, meaning that it grows things inside the body. Every month, what's crazy is I got a wound right here. Here go a wound. This is actually a vaginal wound. Every month, your ovaries produce something called a corpus luteum, right? And what the corpus luteum is a natural cyst that grows on the ovary. If you're not ejaculated in by your man, what happens is this cyst is supposed to break off and go through the fallopian tubes, go to the endometrium lining of the cervix and shed off due to what you'll call estrogen. This shedding process is what starts your menstrual cycle, starts your period. So if you're producing too much estrogen and you haven't been ejaculated in, what happens is the estrogen feeds this endometrium corpus luteum called cysts, and then you start forming cysts all throughout the reproductive system, and it starts inflaming the actual endometrium lining of the actual cervix. And this is what I know to be endometriosis. So you have to stay away from foods that have a lot of estrogen. Automatically get off bottled water. Get away from bottled water. Let's have a whole lot of estrogen, especially if you got bottled water that's been in the sun. Stay away from that. Another thing, stay away from soy. Get away from soy. Run fast from that shit, because that shit is full of synthetic estrogen. Stay away from perfumes and stuff like that. Make sure that you're not spraying on anything in your vaginal area to attract your man. Let your natural pheromones that's being emitted from your vagina attract your man, because that's have a lot of high yielding estrogen in it too. And the last but not things, you need to eat things that's good for the pituitary gland, because the pituitary gland is what governs the reproductive organ of the woman. It produces prolactin, copeland, and all these other different things that make your vagina wet, that make it dry, that actually put you in your ovulation period, that brings on your men's cycle. So you need to eat things that's good for the actual pituitary gland, or what they call God Patu. And what God Patu love, he love when you bring him berries. The berry kingdom is the true way you worship Patu. So bring Patu all of the berries. Berries are full of antioxidants. They're full of oxygenators, and they're full of something called anthocyanins. And anthocyanins is that melanin pigmentation of the berry kingdom. Grapes are actually considered a berry, and cherries are considered berries too. And what these anthocyanins does is they bring oxygen to the blood. They get free radicals out of the blood, and it regulates estrogen, and it brings in progesterone. And progesterone comes in and it whoops estrogen ass, and it brings the body into a balance of homeostasis. And you'll see the inflammation of the endometrium lining of the whole reproductive organ go away.
So the women who don't produce progesterone anymore because they reach a certain age, what do you suggest that they eat a lot of berries as well?
Yes, exactly. And then you have something called not black cohosh, but blue cohosh herb. Will actually stimulate progesterone, because you got to remember progesterone, pregnenolone, estrogen, all of these are what you will call sexual hormones. These hormones come from actual cholesterol. Your LDL and HDL cholesterol actually produces your sexual hormones. This only can be converted by the sun. So make sure that you, especially black people, make sure that you getting, well, I ain't gonna say the word black, that's color of a crown, especially melanated people, make sure you're getting at least 2 hours of sunlight a day.
Yes. Someone asked, let me see, where are we at here? Okay. Someone asked, what about fasting benefits for the body?
Fasting is great, because when you fast, you actually, especially intermittent fasting, your caloric density, you become very, very caloric dependent. So fasting actually jump starts the lymphatic system. Fasting actually kicks on the detoxification mechanism. It kicks on the NRF2 pathway that I was talking about. It kicks on glutathione, which is going to actually purge the cells of all the toxins. Man, fasting is amazing. It allows all the glucose and the fructose to be utilized out. It chimes and stops the mitochondria Eve DNA or the mitochondria organelle inside the cells. It gives that a rest where it can just focus on ATP and not breaking down all this other metabolic waste. Fasting is good for mental clarity. It's good for brain and neural cognition. And not only that, it's very, very good for the reproductive organs in the gut. So fasting, if there was a such thing as of the immunological system, or what I call the lymphatic system, there's a such thing as that. Fasting will actually totally jumpstart that within 72 hours. So fasting is amazing. And if you look into nature, when you see animals get sick, animals do what? They fast, they stop eating, and when they start back eating, they eat grass or vegetables, for the grass and vegetables can purge their systems. So fasting is a detoxification activator.
That's what happens to humans though when they get sick, isn't it?
Yeah, they stop eating. They stop eating.
They go so fast.
Well, ISIS is what used to happen. Now a Negro gets sick and they still eat the same bullshit that got them sick. So humans have we are digressing in consciousness. So I'm glad it's people like us that's pushing people consciousness forward to expand them. But you know, us as a human, you be sick and you still want your chicken wing. See, a dog and a cat, they know, because they still tapped in, but we are not as tapped in as we used to be. And it's sad to say, and that's the reason why there's priests and healers and goddesses out here now speaking this truth, so we can get back tapped in.
All right, 2 more questions for the brother. Yep, one lady has a question. She says, what to give a child to cleanse from childhood vaccines?
Childhood vaccines, first thing you have to do is see what's this gonna be on your YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean,
you ain't gonna be able to talk about that, right? Yeah, we can't talk about that. We're gonna go to another question.
But I will say this: to cleanse your body of any metals, if you get my drift, of any metals, and what you could do, you just cut this part out before we say metals. To clean the body of any metals, you need cilantro. Cilantro cleanse the bodies of metals. Cleaver's leaf cleanse the bodies of metals. You have to cleanse the brain of all of the metals, the aluminums and things like that, you know, that we've been given all of our lives, not only through that, but also through just air and pollution. So you need to go on a metal detox. The best metal detox is cilantro, and to bring in selenium to the cell. So I would say an all fruit diet for at least a month. And then if the baby, you know, can't do the all fruit diet, add a little watery vegetables to the diet, like romaine, bok choy, and things like that. And also you can go on my website, and I have something called a metal detoxifier kit, and that will get the job done. Okay,
last question. How to heal someone suffering from diabetes and kidney disease for 10 plus years?
Do you have hyperglycemia 1 or 2? 1 or 2. If we say it's 1, that means you're insulin dependent. If you're insulin dependent, you need to go on an all fruit diet. Now, I know people that's not hip to the knowledge or all of my healing testimonies, they will say, well, fruit is full of sugars, and sugars is the reason why I got diabetes in the first place. That is not the truth. The truth is that the sugar cannot penetrate the cells to actually be swallowed up by the mitochondria DNA or genes or organelle in the cells to yield ATP. Usually diabetes is caused by eating cooked meat. What the cooked meat does, it creates a lipid, and that lipid goes into the bloodstream and it covers up the cells, and insulin acts as a key to the cell and cannot open the cell up to drop off sugar or what you call glucose or fructose within the cell. So in order to eat any food, you need the pancreas. This is a pancreas right here to actually break. So inside the pancreas, you have something called the islands of Langerhans. And inside the islands of Langerhans, you have the alpha cells, the beta cells, and the delta cells. The alpha cells is actually produce glycogen. The beta cells actually produces something called insulin. Then the delta cells produces something that produce all these things and have a pituitary growth hormone. So you have to make sure your pituitary gland, PA2, is stimulated with the all berries, like I said. And then we have to worry about the beta cells. The beta cells is producing insulin or is not producing insulin insulin because the nervous system is not communicating with it right. And if it does produce insulin and it tried to actually be that key factor to bring sugar into the cells, well, the cells is all greasy and glossed over by all the meats and all the fries and all the cooked foods you've been eating. So that sugar just gonna stay up in the blood and accumulate, and this is what raises the blood sugar. So the best way to get rid of that is eating all fruits. And the reason why I'm saying eating all fruits is because monosaccharides and disaccharides, which is simple sugars that come from your actual fruits, do not need the pancreas. They go a liver lipid transportation way where they actually infuse themselves into the cells. They don't need insulin to act as a key to get glucose in. They totally bypass the pancreas and they actually infuse itself in the cell. So what I would say is we done seen people heal themselves and get off of insulin and everything within a month, just on an all fruit diet and what we'll call our pancreas reversal support kit. We used to call it the diabetes reversal kit, but you know, the allopathic community and the government jumped down my throat with that. So we changed it on the website. It's called the pancreas support kit. You need that with an all fruit diet. And we got so many testimonies. Just go on my Instagram, Yahki Awakened, and you will see people getting off insulin, or type in Yahki heal diabetes on Google and it will pop up on my Facebook somewhere. It won't pop up on my YouTube channel because they terminated my last one.
Okay. All right, brother. One more time to let people know how to reach you. What's your website?
My website is www.yahki, Y-A-H-K-I, awakened, AWAKENED.com. Again, you can reach me on my IG at Yahki Awakened. It's over 200 and it's over 200 and something thousand followers on there. I can't remember it, but it's a lot of people on there pretending to be me. I personally believe that it's Instagram creating Autobots to just keep my message from being heard. So make sure you follow the right one. If you follow me, usually it's some fake pages that's going to follow you back. That's how I know it's Instagram, and they're going to be asking you for readings. Tell them we know you a fake page. And I don't do readings, y'all. I don't even do readings. So they're a liar, and they're going to ask you for money. Do not send these people your money. You can reach me on Facebook at Yahki Hickman, Hickman, and you can reach me on YouTube at Yahki Awakened. And that
do
one,
you have do you have a Cash App?
So I don't want y'all to do any donations to my Cash App. Just from y'all listening for this information was enough money and currency for me.
Okay. All right, y'all. Well, Yahki, I really appreciate you for coming on board. This was a Powerhouse Live. You broke some things down. I'm going to go back and listen to it and take some notes. I'm pretty sure a lot of my people are definitely going to be taking notes. I'm definitely going to bring you back again, brother.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I appreciate you for providing the platform from my side of the knowledge spectrum. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep pushing forth your truth, and let's keep expanding our consciousness as a melanated family.
Word. Okay.
All right.
All right, y'all.
Peace
Y'all
to the
take care.
Blessings, y'all.
Peace.